Hello and welcome to a video with me, Raindale. Today we're taking a look at the limited time vision card that's going to be released with the Final Fantasy X collaboration, and that's a water vision card. So it's going to give a party ability and individual ability only to water units. But for those water units, it's super strong. We'll also take a look at the MR card that's going to be released alongside it, which is called A Place Unknown. So let's dive into it. First, I like taking a look at the base stats because no matter the abilities, if the stats themselves aren't competitive, then the cards aren't really worth equipping. But this one is pretty strong. Its main takeaway, I would say, is its super high HP. Then 154 attack is not at the top of the spectrum. There are vision cards like Echoing Stream that have more than that, but it's not exceedingly low either. If you do take into account that this card has an individual ability that gives 30% attack up to whichever water unit equips it, then with that 30% attack up, you are way above anything else that's available in the game right now. So total attack, counting this, is a very, very high strong point. And then 40 dex is not too bad. It's a bit more accuracy, and then if you're running this on a missile or a spear unit like Glaciella or Winter Victora, it's a bit of extra damage as well. So not terrible in terms of base stats, but not worth pulling just for that. Now, if we look at the abilities, again, these are for water units only, so you do get the base stats if you equip the card to someone else, but everything that's on screen right now is exclusive to water units. The first thing, and I would say it's the main thing about this card that is incredible, is the 30% attack up individual effect on any water unit that equips it. If you remember when Titan was released, it was super strong for Glaciella because it would give her 30% attack up, specifically. Well, this gives 30% attack up to any water unit, and that's a ton. In the next slide, we'll take a look at what 30% attack up means for a couple water units, and you'll see that it's a very significant amount. Then for Titus specifically, there will be a global buff. We don't know the amounts yet, but it's going to give him more defense piercing. And if you've listened to my Titus review, this is critical. He has 20% in it, but no other way of piercing defense. So that's going to make him hit tanks much harder. And then some accuracy up is always nice to have because there's a few things as frustrating as missing in War of the Vision. Then the party ability will give 35 attack up to water units. That is as much as the Echoing Screams card, which is the other slash attack card up in the game. So it's equal, but limited to water units again. Then it's also going to give 30% more crit rate for those units, which is especially good for Tidus, as he has some abilities that are dependent on crit rate. And then it also gives 25% max HP up, so there are a ton of goodies there. So let's see what those numbers mean for our main water attackers. For a unit like Tidus, it's a 110 attack, which is a lot more. So while the card itself was giving only 150, you almost double the amount of attack you're gaining for a EX unit and their higher base attack that gets multiplied. Then our current UR will gain somewhere between 94 if we're looking at a Solier who's who has high init attack like Winter Ramada, and then 71 for Winter Victora. Obviously, MR units will be gaining a bit less than those numbers, so it won't be as strong for them. And then the HP up is really an important thing. Often when we get more HP in this game, it's like 200 or rather small amounts, and that frequently doesn't make the difference between living one more hit and surviving, but getting, say, almost 800 more HP in Tidus's case is super high. Like, that can mean he's going to live one more hit, especially since he has some innate bulk. And then 600 HP for Glaciella can be critical in surviving one more hit from Frederica, for example. in a match and then being able to retaliate once before going down. So overall, for all of these units, those extra stats are very good. I especially like the max HP because it's going to be strong for anyone on your team. So even if you're running a team that's not all physical attackers like what we see on screen, but you're running Ildira for a healer, for example, as long as they're water type, the extra HP will come in handy for them. Let's talk about the A Place Unknown Vision card, because I think it's an interesting one. This one is also a vision card that provides a individual and party ability only to water units. And if you look at the base stats, they are not great. They're not competitive with any UR vision card, really. You get low-ish HP, 167 isn't great. The attack isn't too bad at 97, but honestly, none of those stats are super high. What you do get that is pretty cool, though, is 12% agility on the person equipping this. So if you're putting this card on a support, for example, a water support like Krace, she will be acting faster, and that might allow her to play before the rest of your team and then cast her buffs before you rush into combat. Then the party ability for water units isn't bad. You're going to get 18 accuracy, which is always nice, and then 50% missile resist and 11% dexterity. Means that it's really good, especially for Glaciella, I think, because she often, in my experience at least, dies to Frederica's and Nivlu's before she gets the chance to attack, and having a little bit more missile resistance just might be the difference between getting one shot and surviving one missile attack and then having the chance to hit back before going down. So it's obviously not comparable to UR vision cards. It's also super niche because it's only for water units, but I would see some potential play for this card in those very specific scenarios. Now, overall, let's talk about, again, Suteki Da Ne and give our verdict on the card. Well, for water units, it is above the curve. Just the 30% attack up is really good, at least for the physical type water units, and then the extra max HP and crit rate are great for anyone, and then it has slash attack, which is also good. So overall, it's really good. It is BIS for Titus, or Titus. It gives everything he might need, really. Crit rate, HP, slash attack, and then for him specifically, more accuracy and defense piercing. If you max this card, you're probably going to keep it on him forever. But then, let's talk about the reasons you might not want to go for it. The first one is there aren't that many water slash units in the game yet. So you don't have that many people that will benefit from the bigger part of the party ability from this card. So that's something to keep in mind. It is limited to water also, so when you're running teams that are not water, or if you don't have at least one or most likely two water units, you might prefer to run something else. Otherwise, you're not really benefiting from the party abilities, and as we discussed, just the base stats are not reason to be running this card. So that's another thing. And then it's time limited, which means that you have to max it now if you want to get most of those benefits. Among other things, the max HP up of 25% you will only get if you max the card completely. So it's not worth having it even at 3 stars. You need to go all the way in order to really make use of it. So that means it's another big strain on your Visual, while there's the anniversary, and you're probably going to be building other units and other time-limited stuff. So I would say that's the main reason. If it wasn't time-limited, I would recommend that anyone go for it slowly, because over time it's going to be great for those scenarios where you run water teams. But because of the time constraints, you might decide to let it go. And it won't be the end of the world, because there's still a lot of other good cards that are not as good as this one for water units, but still very good in general. So that was it from me today. Hopefully you had a good time and then learned a thing or two. If you did, please like and subscribe. It will make it more likely that you see my videos in the future. And then, as always, thank you so much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.